How did you know Gary O'Neill?
It's all because we played against each other and then we bumped to each other a few times in different places. The last time I think it was in Dubai. And because I follow a lot of managers, he was one of them, and I'm always interested to understand where they're coming from, the education they had, who they've been close to, just to understand what they do it, and he's someone that I really like.
Is he the kind of person who would ask you for advice? He's one of the few managers younger
To me?
than you. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. He hasn't done that, but really interesting to see the background and where he's coming from.
Going back to the Bournemouth game away, start of the season, it was pretty much the first time I heard the Saliba song and the crowd really taking to him. Have you been surprised at how quickly he's established himself at the club?
I am. I was very surprised with the goal that he scored that day, especially. But yeah, he had an immediate impact. And to be fair, the first two sessions, I remember we looked at him, we went, there is huge potential here. And the way he settled in, the way he started to get his role around the team, around his teammates, and the way he played in precision, he took every question mark that we could have with him out, and he has given us all the reasons to play him, and I think he's been exceptional since that day.
Were there question marks before then? Because, I mean, obviously you loaned him out for 2 seasons, and there was a bit of debate as to whether he'd actually ever make it here.
Well, the first one is how the player is going to reintegrate to our dynamics after being out for so long, and is there some frustration there? Is that something personal there between, for example, me and the player, because he could not understand that, or his environment, or the expectation that he had coming back, and the amounts that we play for him, his age, is it the same to do it in France, to do it now for Arsenal and be a starter in this league, because you don't have 20, 21 years old defenders at the top level, they don't. So it's a lot of question marks, and he went with all of them, ticking them out and giving us every reason to be confident that he was a great player for us.
It's just that, I mean, at the start, first few games, there were probably a couple of sort of individual errors, but he didn't seem to make them anymore. I noticed he hasn't been booked for about 20 games now, which is very rare for centre-half. He doesn't seem to be making any mistakes now.
No, and when he has made mistakes, obviously, when you talk about the crowd, and the first time he made a mistake that cost us a goal, the crowd reacted extremely positively towards him. But he's naturally, really composed, and he doesn't get too bothered about opinions or getting nervy in certain situations, and that's a big quality of his.
Can I just ask briefly, I mean, what's he like off the pitch? Is he loud and vocal, or is he quite a quiet guy?
He's really funny, and he doesn't want to be funny, but he's extremely funny. He's really liked around the place. He's got this aura, he's present, and always a really good humor and energy around him, and then very, very focused, and determined to become a top player.
Ken? Just continuing on William Saliba. What was it that struck you in those first 2 training sessions? Was it his personality or what he was doing on the ball? Can you give us a bit of insight?
His attitude. The way he came in and said, I'm going to prove that I'm very good and I deserve to be here. Without any, looking back or being shy or just trying to, he was doing it the right way and giving the right reasons to think that he was going to be really good for us.
Did he say that to you as well, or did he just do it with his actions? Like, did you have a conversation where he said, I'm going to prove?
No, for the first week I didn't speak to him. I just wanted to see, naturally, without me really interfering in his thoughts, how he was, because then you can understand the real him. And after that, then I spoke to him.
And you would have seen I think it was in the pre-season game, that every touch he had was cheered by the crowd, and he'd obviously built up this kind of cult status while he was away. Were you concerned at all about, given what you said, players of 21 don't start Premier League games centre back? Were you concerned about throwing him into that environment?
I was 100% sure that I was going to have a lot of pressure externally to give him the opportunity. That was for sure. And then obviously I was really willing to to find out what we find out in pre-season, and I think then it was the perfect storm, and a beautiful relationship started to build there, and he's done what he's done this season.
So you needed it to work because you knew you were going to come under loads of pressure.
No, I didn't. I have to be fair with myself. I have to put players that I feel that they can do the role, especially in that role in defense. But I was hoping that it was the right decision, and the decision that we took against probably a lot of opinions to send him another year on loan paid off, and that was the right timing now to bring him back. But I had questions that I could be totally wrong as well.
Just moving from talking about your defence to talking about your attack, we've spoken a bit in the last week or two about playing Leandro in that kind of withdrawn false nine position, and how some of your forwards can now take up different positions. How useful is it at this stage of the season to be unpredictable, to be able to change things up in a way that maybe you hadn't been doing previously, and surprise people there?
It's always really good, and you have players that can change formations between phases or during games. Is even better because obviously opponents are really well prepared and they know what to expect. So that uncertainty always creates a bit of chaos, and players and teams need to adapt, especially if you are able to dominate games. They have to adapt to what you do, and that's another element to be stronger to try to win games.
I guess, yeah, as you say, opponents are well prepared, and when you play them everybody once, it's quite good to be able to have something else in store for the second time maybe.
There's always a question, because if you are extremely good at what you do, it doesn't matter what the opponent do. That is very difficult to stop it, and that's what most of the top athletes and top players do in the world.
Just quickly on Gabby Martinelli, you said after the game on Wednesday that his confidence was high again after all the goals he scored. Obviously, you took him out against Villa the other week. Had his confidence dropped a bit? Did he need an arm around the shoulder or something like that?
It's not about that. It's sometimes about momentum, how you are physically, how you are mentally, and then goals and performances and winning matches helps every single player. And Gavin in the last 3 days scored goals. He's playing really well, and you see that spark again on him that is very much needed. And sometimes player needs a little rest to click again.
And just quickly, sorry, on Eddie, I know you said there's some uncertainty in it. That's not risking being a longer term problem, is it?
Hopefully not.
But we're not sure.
No.
Okay.